We're back from hiatus, people. It's Bit by Bit. All right, people, it's back from the dead, bit by bit, because we are lazy people.
Yes.
And we can only apparently focus on one thing at a time.
All of you only watch Good, Bad, or Bad, Bad anyway, so...
Let's face it. You don't really give a shit about our opinion in video games.
No. we saw how it was trending.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out.
But for real, we wanted to get back to it because we love video games
so much.
We play a lot of video games. It's if I'm not editing the show or working or doing some other things. Most of the time, my free time I am playing video games. So, yeah. Let's talk.
What did we watch? What did we
watch today?
What did we play this time?
Today we watched.
What did you watch me play?
Ratchet and Clank. Which is...
Oh, man.
Probably, well, this one not specifically. The second one is probably Ratchet and Clank Going Commando is probably my favorite video game of all time. The first one's still good, but they just improved a lot in the second one.
You don't say.
Yeah.
You don't say.
We'll get to some of that. But one of the reasons we're doing Ratchet and Clank right now, apart from it being one of my favorite games that Kyle's never played, is it's produced by Insomniac Games. And they are currently producing big budget blockbuster the Spider-Man game, which looks...
Gonna put in a little bit of that
vulture, a little bit of that
going on.
That beautiful bean footage right now. Man, it looks great, and if you want to get a little bit of a taste of what you're in for, I would say probably story-wise, because mechanics will obviously be very different, seeing as this is it's a third-person platformer to an extent, but you can not web-slinging in this so much, although a little bit. a little bit.
We saw me throw some flare up.
A little bit. Oh boy, they're everywhere. Oh! Second save.
Get that!
But I think if you want to get a taste for the kind of humor you could expect from from the Spider-Man game, and just if you want to get a taste for whether or not you think these people know how to make a video game, go play the Ratchet and Clank games. You'll find out real quick they fucking know how to make a video game.
It's fun. It's a fun game.
It's a fun game, and honestly, and like I said, this is probably the worst one in my opinion. And now I say,
thank God we started with it.
Yeah, I say the worst one. It's not fair. It's the first one, and like many things, they learned a lot from what they did in the first one, and they were able to add a lot to the second and the ones coming after.
Yeah, there's an ebb and flow to that, which is if it's the same people working on it, it comes out better. Like Thief compared to Thief 2. Yeah. When it's an IP that's bought by somebody, right. And then they reboot it, and you get Thief 2014.
We need to do an episode on that because you would have a lot of things to say.
I would do nothing but bitch about it the whole time.
And people love to watch you bitch about things. So, so if I had to go into what I think makes the Ratchet and Clank series, and this is going to probably be more of a general discussion about the series. We just happened to play the first one. I think what makes these games so great is, and what makes them unique in the world of 3D platformers, because these guys also made Spyro, and then everybody's played Donkey Kong 64, everybody played Super Mario 64, which those are arguably probably better games because they were
mechanically.
Yeah, maybe. I think, and more importantly, they were more. They were the first to do what they did.
Nintendo for some, and I mean, this is not reflected. Like Nintendo was a lot more on concising the formula. Yeah. Like they're not like with this. You have so many different things you can do with Mario 64 and Donkey Kong 64. You were really constricted on what you could do, but what you could do very well.
Yeah, that's fair. But I think the thing that really sets us apart, and it's obvious because it's on the cover and it's like in numerous places. Now this is the greatest hits, but I think it was the same cover as before. is the weapons. This game and this series is all about fucking wacky.
This game is promoting violence.
Wacky ass weapons. So that what it has is this arsenal of weapons that is just nonsense. There's weapons that make people dance themselves to death. You can turn people into sheeps. You can shoot goo at people. You can electrocute them. You can suck them up in a vacuum cleaner. It's just all the most insane. There's one that's a blade gun that just hurls blades that spin around and shred people. It's nuts. So you have ones that there's a mini nuke. You can shoot nukes, like little mini nukes.
It's like a fun cartoony version of Serious Sam.
Yeah. Serious Sam is kind of a cartoony version of Serious Sam.
Well, this is even more so.
Right. It's more silly. But I think so the guns and the gunplay, which was what I noticed in this was lacking a little bit, is that in later ones they added an ability to strafe and lock your thing, which really helps when you're shooting, as this could be a little rough.
In this, you kind of suffered from Leon Kennedy syndrome.
What's that? Oh,
Resident Evil 4, where you can't strafe. You have to, when you're aiming, you're like,
this
is where I'm at. This is where I'm at.
Yeah, and so, but they really improved upon that in the sequels. But even still, there's a lot of fun to be had in chucking bombs around and blowing everything up. And the other thing that sets this apart is, I think, the story, and not so much the story as it is the humor. The story's fine.
Yeah.
The moment-to-moment humor in the storyline.
The atmosphere of the game is fun.
Yeah.
It like there's nothing that feels like it's either it's broad for the sake of being like, all right, we need this to look big and majestic just because fuck it.
Yeah.
Like you go to a booming city like Metropolis. I mean, not that it feels like it's a lived-in city or anything. But for the area you're given, it feels like it needs to feel. Like it feels as goofy as it needs to feel. It's
but it also feels huge. Like the skybox on that particular map is just expansive and huge skyscrapers everywhere. So you feel like you're in a giant city.
I'm well aware. I fell down it a couple times.
Yeah, you fell off of skyscrapers quite a few times.
Screw you.
Oh.
What? That's not a ledge?
That's not the... What? That wasn't the one you're supposed to go
I know.
to.
I know.
It did look like a ledge, though.
I like exploring things.
And this and there's also a great diversity in worlds when you travel from world to world. You know, we went from a giant cityscape to like a swampy, like weird backwater planet with like ooze and sand sharks. And and then there's water worlds. There's eventually you get to points where you're swimming underwater and using like a hydro pack to like go underwater and that sort of so there's all kinds of diversity. And like I was saying, the moment to moment humor in the story, the jokes, the execution of the jokes, it's kind of spot on in the way in what they were going for. And you compared it to, and I think it's a very apt/adept comparison is to like Psychonauts or any of Tim Schafer's games.
First we print flyers, then we spread them all over town with my blimp.
Winning over the hearts and minds of Lungfishopolis in as soon as 6 months.
6 months?
You don't like our plan, you can come up with another one.
Yes, we are busy. We have to select card stock and then find a decent but inexpensive printer within a week.
Where that they're quirky and they're fun and they're weird, but the humor isn't just that they're quirky. It's actually got some smart and some honestly, and we didn't get into a bunch of it in this, but kind of genre deconstructing humor and poking fun at the sci-fi and the the action movie.
Yeah, and with this even particularly with like the main bad guy, the
Drek. Yeah, is his name.
Like even he's overtly making fun of, like his character makes fun of that character in such a way.
This is your last chance. Stop this madness now!
Okay, wait. You're right. I will withdraw my troops.
Really?
No! He's all yours, gentlemen. Try not to leave any marks.
And Captain Quark, who we didn't meet technically, but we saw in videos, who plays the big dumb superhero, and he's a deconstruction of your over the top bombastic cocksure superhero. But in this case, without spoiling things, it takes a different turn, and he's the bad guy.
Oh my god!
Well, he was working for the bad guy.
Oh, okay.
But,
was he that shadow at the beginning?
Yeah. Okay. But it's not really that much of a spoiler because you can tell from the shadow like right away that that's him basically. But so I think it does a really good job of having
like the Tick.
What?
He's walking around like the Tick.
He does.
He's the Tick.
Yeah, basically. I think it does a great job of and all of them do, of deconstructing. The humor is good at deconstructing it and poking fun at the genre, but the game itself fully embraces the wacky hijinks. Like, it lives in this world of where these things are silly, but they're kind of fucking awesome, and we're going to blow everything up, and it's going to be these big over-the-top storylines where he's literally using a claw machine to rip apart the planet, and it's fucking stupid, but it's still fun as shit. Like, and especially 12-year-old me when this came out, or I think I was 14, fucking just ate this shit up. It was just right up my alley and right up my arsenal.
Oh, shit.
That's the third one.
See Bryan down in his basement.
Oh my god.
Probably in his boxers.
Yes, I had a big futon sitting in the basement because it was the only place we didn't have air conditioning at the time in my house when I was that age. We got it a couple years later. So the basement was like the only place to be in the summer because it was like 20 degrees cooler. Sitting on the futon, playing Ratchet and Clank, going commando. Both in the game and outside of the game. But yeah, no, and one of the other things this game does really, really well, and all the Ratchet and Clank games do, is the replayability of them. Because they're not super long. The story is probably... the most recent one, I just played the one for PlayStation 4. And the storyline was probably 10 hours or so. Yeah. But you play through it 4 times because you gain more.
You described it. It's basically New Game Plus.
Yes, it is. It's every time and you can do it over and over and over again, where each time you go through, you keep all of your upgrades for all of your equipment and your weapons. You lose some gadgets and stuff, and so you keep getting more powerful. The bad guys keep getting more powerful, and you feel that progression every time you play it. And you can find more new things you missed the first time because you have more time and you're not so worried about finishing. It's just it is the perfect replayability, and you get your fucking money's worth when you get it.
That reminds me of there's some old style Super Nintendo games that everything about how they processed information was based off RAM. Yeah. And it would configure for whatever a value was to... Basically, they were like, once you beat the game, reset it and don't start a new game. Yeah. Do that. Please turn off the game and don't stop doing that. Because then it just keeps adding values more and more. Yeah. And you're playing level 1 where you're getting one-shotted from, like, everything on screen. Yeah. I love how they kind of went with that same formula, but on purpose.
On purpose, yeah. So what I would recommend is, because the easiest way to play these is to not play these, unfortunately, unless you still have a PlayStation 2 that works.
No, the easiest way to play that is to ignore everything on screen, do exactly what I did, ignore everything on screen, jump around, and hit everything with your grappling hook, and then throw bombs.
Yeah, fair. What? That's not what I meant when I said the easiest way. I meant to actually, if you want to go play the game. The new version, and I'd forgotten this because it had been so long since I played this. The one that just came out on PS4 is this game. It's a remake of this game, and the storyline's almost identical, slightly different. But the good thing so instead of playing this, play the PS4 one, because the PS4 one takes all the good elements of this and the fun storyline, the original storyline that this had, and you get to see Ratchet and Clank meet and all that. But it adds all of the fun mechanics and the weapon upgrading and the wider range of weapons from the later games. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. So the PS4 version, or the PS4 Ratchet and Clank, I can't recommend enough because it's fucking amazing. And it's just the most satisfying platforming. It's so tight. The controls are so tight. Blowing everything up. They keep the gameplay diverse enough where there's elements, or there's sections where you're in hoverboard races. We didn't even get to any of the rail grinding sections where there's this whole thing where you get rail grinding boots and
testament to how good the controls are. I've never played the game, and I was avoiding shit left and right.
Yeah, you were like, and I was saying, like, instantly you were like we played for an hour, a little over an hour, and you were just immediately you're like a pro at the game because it's so intuitive and it's so...
I'm gonna cut that out. I'm gonna cut that out and play it in my head as I go to sleep.
I'm a pro! Bryan said I'm a pro! You're like a pro at the game. 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 So check out Ratchet and Clank, whatever it's called. It's called Ratchet and Clank for the PS4. It's fucking amazing. They're just fun games, and I'm sure you can pick up the one for PS4 for probably $20 or something.
And then you can watch the movie.
And then the movie, I still haven't seen the movie. It's on Netflix, and I've been meaning, or it was on Netflix, and I kept meaning to watch it, but I heard
name me one good movie based off a video game.
I'm gonna sit here until I think of one. Hold on. Blood Rain. arguably the worst movie. We should do Blood Rain. That would be
Warcraft.
Actually, I will go to bat for Warcraft. I don't think it's not great. It wasn't great. I think it's better than most people think it is. And it helps when you know the world and the lore, and that's what we're getting off topic. But I think the Warcraft movie is better than it did.
Super Mario Brothers.
That's the best one. But yes, Ratchet and Clank, the game of my youth and the game of my adulthood, because I'm still playing it and I'm still replaying Ratchet and Clank and check this fucking shit out. Now this, I gotta make a point of this.
Oh boy.
So this is the greatest hits version. But how fucking... So I assume this probably wasn't in the original version.
Who knows?
How fucking cool is this? Why don't games come with stuff like this anymore? Look at this. You got a poster, and then on the back, look at that shit. All the guns, all the controls, all the well, not all the maps, but it tells you a bunch of information. That's fucking... Come on, games. Keep doing this. You know who did this?
Nope. Digital manuals now.
Yeah, you know who did this really well recently was Project CD Red.
For
Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you get so much. I have the map somewhere over there. You got so much shit just for the regular version of the game. You got like maps and you got a soundtrack in the regular version of the game. It's nuts. But yeah, I got a little teary-eyed thinking about playing Ratchet and Clank in my basement.
Yep.
And
and then you saw Ratchet's eyes, and you were like, "Oh God." Whoa!
Dead ass eyes, Ratchet has, that are just kind of like. It's like he has two glass eyeballs that are just kind of like doing their own thing. Forgot about that. They updated that and really helps in the later ones where he doesn't look like a fucking weird baby doll thing with like fucking glass eyes. But anyways, let's see how else to finish this.
Play some Insomniac games.
Prepare yourself for Spider-Man. Learn what you're in for when it comes to these guys because they make really good video games. They also made Spyro. They also made the Resistance series, Fuse, and then there was one other one that I cannot. Sunset Overdrive, which I never played, but that was a really different game from what I remember seeing.
That was too far up its own ass.
Yeah. Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I never played it. So. Well, this game is not up its own ass. It is up its own arsenal.
The big difference between say this and Sunset Overdrive is this takes its little world and just is like, screw it, go with it. That one takes this world and was like, hey, look how crazy this is right now. hey, people playing the game, look at this. That's crazy.
I've never played it, so I have to take your word for it that that's the case. But that's disappointing because they make really good games apart from that. So yeah, Ratchet and Clank, go take your clothes off and play it. That's the only way to play it. I mean, it's in the title. It's called Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. If you're not playing it naked, you're playing it wrong. Pretty sure.
Keep playing games?
Keep playing games. You don't even want to know what you have to do with Up Your Arsenal.